O Diyos aming Ama, ang lahat ng nilalang ay marapat na sumamba sa iyo. Higit sa iyong mga biyaya, sinasamba ka namin dahil ikaw ay ikaw. Lumalapit kami sa iyo, dakilang tagapaglikha, nagsusumamo at humihingi ng kapatawaran. Kami ay nagkulang at nagkasala. Patawarin mo kami sa katigasan ng aming mga puso. Turuan mo kami at dalhin sa inyong kalooban. Tingnan mo kami ng may awa at kahabagan. Hilumin mo po ang aming bayan, ang aming mga mahal sa buhay, kaibigan, kapitbahay, karatig bayan, ganon din ang aming mga kaaway sa pandemyang kinahaharap namin sa COVID-19. Isama niyo na rin ang mga may sakit sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Panginoon, balutin mo kami ng inyong kaluwalhatian. Itago mo kami sa lilim ng inyong mga pakpak laban sa anumang kapahamakan o wala sa oras na kamatayan. Kristo, ang tinapay ng buhay, alalahanin niyo po ang mga namumuno sa aming bansa, ang mga ilaw at haligi ng bawat tahanan, at mga kawani na nagtatanggol sa aming seguridad at mga frontliners. Batid mo, Panginoon, ang mga dinaraanan at bawat ganap sa aming buhay. Espiritong Banal, aming tanggulan at gabay, imulat ang aming mga mata at ipakita si Jesus ang Panginoon at tagapagligtas, ang nag-iisang katotohanan at tanging daan tungo sa Ama. Wala nang iba. Purihin ka, O aming Diyos. Ang presensya mo ay tunay na biyaya ng aming buhay. Ito ang aming samot panalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus, Kordero ng Diyos na nag-aalis ng kasalanan ng mundo. Amen.
Naghahatid saya sa mga Pinoy, mga kanta at programang Tatak Pinoy. Napapanood at napapakinggan kahit saan ka man. Streaming worldwide. In South Manila, this is V81 Radio.
Malayo ka man sa iyong pamilya, dito ay hindi ka nag-iisa. Tiyak ito'y iyong hahanap-hanapin, dahil ito ang nagpapasaya sa atin. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. Dahil mahal namin kayo. Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio. Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. VA1 Radio, VA1 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, VA1 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. Dahil mahal namin kayo. Para sa inyo ito, VA1 Radio.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station. Let's dive deep into an all-boys conversation with Voice of the Boys, taking up full sessions about movies, anime, martial arts, and more. Voice of the Boys features pop culture, discussions on male topics, and issues with a hint of female perspective. Hosted by your resident voice artist, THERICKMATTHEWS, and Voice the Slayer, Joshua Ravelas. So grab a popcorn and enjoy the Voice of the Boys, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
All right, welcome to Voice of the Boys, and this is Voice the Slayer, and welcome, good evening to all people from all around the world, and thank you for tuning in, and it's nice to see you all again after 1 week, and we've got a lot in store for you. But before I do that, I'd like to bring in my host, Mr. THERICKMATTHEWS, Richard Abalos. Please welcome him onto the stage. Thank you. Hello, partner.
Yan! What's up? Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat, mga ka-V81 Radio. Nagkamali na naman, sir. Hello. Kamusta kayo? Mga all the way from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, to all our viewers all over the world. Welcome once again to our second episode of Voice of the Boys. Kamusta ka naman, partner Josh? How was your day so far?
So far, very productive. What about you, partner?
Not too bad. Patugtog tayo ng konti. Yon, para chill lang tayo,
yeah.
you know. Let's have just a little nice conversation. We're gonna have another hour of fitness. It's going to be there's gonna be another twist sa ating topic ngayong gabi. But from last week, recap lang tayo quickly what happened last week. And of course, with our dear friend na si Darcel Diaz, who introduced everyone to ang mga viewers natin sa kanyang martial arts yoga. Diba, partner?
Yep. And maganda rin yung experience natin sa kanya because with fitness, she has given us a lot of tips, and especially on meditation and new way of life. And one of the best things that I've seen with Darcel's program last time, it was a very productive show. So without further ado, with this week, may bago tayong topic, di ba, partner?
Yes, so it's technically a sequel to our show from last week, kasi ang pinag-usapan natin last week was fitness, di ba? So ngayon, ano ba ngayon ang magiging topic at hand natin, Pops Josh?
Oh yes. With our new topic, we'll be talking about historical European martial arts, or HEMA for short.
Grabe. Maybe you can explain to our viewers kung ano ba yung kasi alam ko you're also practicing this. You're also a practitioner of HEMA. diba, in your own way. Maybe you can explain a little bit to our viewers from all over the Philippines, diba, and all over the world.
Oh yes. With HEMA, or Historical European Martial Arts, it is an umbrella term for various martial arts practiced in Europe. And one of the notable schools here are more of the schools for swordsmanship. So if you guys are into the Knights of the Round Table or anything that is related to medieval swordsmanship, this is the topic for you tonight. And speaking of this topic, I think it's time that we bring in our new guest. What do you think, partner?
Oh naman, nako, let's not keep our featured guest for tonight waiting. Pero maybe you can give a brief background. Sino ba tong guest natin for tonight, Pops
Oh
Josh?
yes. Well, with this guest, he's a swordsmanship instructor, fitness coach, and all-around geek. So you guys will be able to relate to us in a very cool manner. Because this is the first time we've ever had a topic like this.
Yes,
And
totoo.
without further ado, I would like to present to you guys Mr. Jericho Viejo.
Magandang gabi, Sir Jericho. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Ayun.
Glad to be here.
Grabe, sir. I'm loving the background. Nakita na natin yung mga
Yeah,
all the swords, the shield.
yeah, medyo magulo, but this is where I train now during the pandemic. Kasi it's not safe to train outside, dito na lang.
Yes, totoo yan. So, kamusta naman kayo ngayong gabi, sir?
Oh, okay naman, good. It's a good Friday, and first of all, thank you for having me here, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Yes.
Yun. Thank you so much, and we're glad to have you in our show as our featured guest for tonight. We very much appreciate it, and looks like partner Josh, may mga nag-comment na. We already have one comment
let's see
here.
who are. Wow, Martin. This is another swordsman right here.
Okay, your friend.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, he's a friend of mine. Welcome,
to
Martin.
Voice of the
Show.
Voice.
Yes, finally.
Yun.
We have people from the Philippine Lightsaber Guild coming in, and it's
Ayun
really
naman
cool.
pala. All right.
Oh yes.
Exactly.
And
All right.
it may-
So
Let's
I think
go.
should we get things started, Pops Josh? So
Oh,
bagong lahat, time check po natin is already 8:08 ng gabi. So hopefully we will be able to share as many information as we can within the next 1 hour. All right.
Oh yes. But we'll start first about the personal part of our guest here to get to know Sir Jericho a little bit. What do you say, Sir Jericho?
Yeah, oh, sure. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. No? Anything related to the topic tonight, go ahead. Just
Oh
fire away.
yes. All right. Let's go with our first question. Our first question is, how did you begin your journey as a martial artist?
That's
Yun.
That's actually a good question, huh? I don't know if you were already born when this cartoon was out, but malamang alam nyo na to since a remake is coming out.
Sige.
Um,
Oh yes.
What is fine?
Oh, okay. Volt is
Sorry.
5.
Yes.
Other kids, they like si Steve, diba? But because I was a chubby kid when I was young, mas gusto ko si Big Bird. I love Big Bird. Yeah, I love his movements, character. So my very first martial art foray into martial arts is actually judo, but it didn't last long because
Judo.
I found out that they don't punch and kick in judo.
Yes.
So I moved to Taekwondo, which that's where I stayed for a couple of years, on and off between elementary. I had to pause in school because the high school I went to didn't have a taekwondo program. But I continued in college, and then that's when I discovered Muay Thai. So I dabbled into Muay Thai while I was in college, on and off. Then I'm more like a jack of all trades. I didn't specialize in one martial art back then. I tried everything: knife fighting, Muay Thai, boxing, and then I went into Krav Maga I
Mm.
I became
Maga.
certified instructor
Yes,
of
I
it.
know what Krav Maga.
And at the same time, I also did archery. So I was doing
Wow.
instinctive
Nice.
shooting. This was back in around 2010, 2011. And then it was when I met my FMA instructor, Dr. Sixto Carlos, that I started my foray into bladed weapons arts. So my first experience in bladed weapons isn't actually HEMA. It's
Oh,
FMA because
I
it's very
see.
it's very popular.
FMA.
And it's through FMA, which is more commonly associated with short blades and short sticks. Yeah. I just out of the blue, my teacher, do we have long weapons training? Because ever since I was a kid, I played fantasy games, Diablo, and all that stuff, D&D, ganyan. I was always a sword guy. And when he said that there was, that's when I just set aside everything and focused on learning sword fighting. So I started out in FMA, specifically the Dos Manos style of the Carlos Hermanos Carlos Ilustrísimo school. Dos Manos meaning two-handed,
Mhm.
because long swords. I mean, di ba?
Agreed.
FMA as in like Filipino martial arts, di ba?
Yes,
Yes.
that's Filipino
Ayun,
martial
okay,
arts.
okay, okay. Nice, nice.
And
Yep.
when I found out that, because I wanted to connect it to European swordsmanship, I found out that the German system, specifically the German system of longsword, has very similar concepts with our Dos Manos system. And that's when I transitioned from FMA to HEMA. I didn't leave FMA, by the way. I didn't leave it behind. No, at heart, I'm still a Filipino martial arts practitioner. But I also focused on HEMA because that's where the geek side of me really resonates with. So that's when it started. And then I learned online. I read some manuals, I watched some videos, and currently I'm actually also training with an international team. Um, during COVID, and during this time, I also set up the school, Forge Martial Fitness back in 2015, to share the passion with other geeks. So as you will find out later tonight, I will always go back to geeks and nerds and all that because
Yes.
that's a personal passion of mine. I want to encourage those who have their own fandoms to, live their fandom. That's actually the Sword Seekers hashtag, live your fandom. And
Hashtag live your fandom.
yes,
That's
because it's,
amazing.
yeah, don't just celebrate it, diba? If you have a body you can move, then move like your fandom, diba? If you want to be like a Jedi Knight or I don't know,
Yes.
guts,
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I
If
can't
you want
teach
to be
you how
like
to
Batman.
the machines
Oh
of
yes.
Titan, but the sword part I can. So
Mm-hmm.
yon, parang that's where that's how it started, and then that's where it is right now.
Nice. Wow. And this is very
Ayos.
inspiring for all people who who are introverts as well, because what Sir Jericho has caters to both the extrovert and the introverts out there, and it's really inspiring because you don't see this kind of program every day. And thank you, Sir Jericho, for sharing that to us, because as nerds as well, we can totally relate to what you're saying, and it's also an honor to have you
Amen.
here. Hmm. And it's also one way of publicizing what Filipino martial arts can do,
Yeah,
because one
Totoo.
good part about it is, as a practitioner as well of Filipino martial arts, I also share in the same school, Kali. So the good part about it is that we can relate to each other in so many ways, and it's very practical to use. And speaking of Kali, who and what have inspired you to take up martial arts in the first place?
Yon.
Like,
Yes.
what was your prime motivation as a martial artist?
I think that's question number 2, no?
Yes, that's question number 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest motivation, if you trace it, if I'm going to be very honest,
Okay.
you know, it's so easy to say, oh, it's self-defense. I want to learn how to defend myself. That's all part of it. But my personal motivation is exactly my hashtag. When I started judo, I wanted to be Big Bird.
Mm.
When I went into archery, it's because I played a hunter in World of Warcraft. I saw, I think I played Max Payne, which is what inspired me to go into Krav Maga. It's always, in my case, it's always going back to my nerdy pursuits. A wonderful side effect of it is learning self-defense aspects of it, learning the actual history of the martial art. Even my journey into FMA was inspired by geekery. I remember I was playing a Frost Death Knight in World of Warcraft. And I learned swords of Ishan. So yeah, from there it became knives, and then I looked for my teacher. And you know, I wanted to learn the martial side of it. Yes, that's a given. But in parallel to that, it's really the satisfaction of my nerdy side. It's
I
similar to
see.
joining the lightsaber game.
Yes,
buy a
that's true.
they do cosplay. It's the same thing, but for me, I just do it through martial arts.
Understood. That's really cool. And hopefully one day we can also bring more people together in the toy conventions as well. Because
Do
as
you
I
also
recall,
teach
right?
yun, yung
Yeah.
lightsaber? Do you also teach yung pag ano? That yung training nila, yung sa, di ba there are saber games? Are you also part of that community, sir?
The sparring side, the fighting side. I have friends in the Philippine Lightsaber Guild. I have very good friends who are members of the Fight Saber team, the trooping team. But I'm more involved into dun sa fighting side. Forge held its first Saber Combat tournament, I think, 2 years ago. And since then, we just had a number of events all over Manila through the Forge Pioneer, and at the time we had Forge QC. So we had different events, and which we also showcased in HistoryCon back in 2018, alongside our steel longsword tournament. So it's really, at the end of the day, it really is a nerdy person. It's a very geeky person.
Nice.
Yeah.
I also have another question though. How did you hear about HEMA? Where did it start actually? If you don't mind me asking. For our
Where
viewers.
did HEMA start specifically?
Yeah.
Yung pinaka-origin, yeah, good question.
Yes,
Yeah.
the very origin. Because of course as martial artists we have to learn our origins as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, HEMA was actually a revived art, as far as my own research is concerned. No? Of course, there are many people out there who can give more detailed answers in terms of the history and the lineages. But as far as my own studies are concerned, it is an art that got revived, I think, around the early 90s. And then this was through the discovery of the different manuscripts and books of the different masters from Germany, Italy, different styles, Spain, Vienna. When the manuscripts were discovered, a lot of people dug into it, tried to revive it, and now it's popular. So how I personally heard of HEMA was when I started doing FMA. So at the time, the only swordsmanship style that I know that was available here in the Philippines, aside from artists in FMA, was Kendo and Genjutsu. Olympic fencing is a swordsmanship style as well. But at the time, that didn't catch my attention. So I tried getting into kendo. I'm also a closet weeb, but really wanted the European side more. So once I got the fundamentals from our niece, that's when I started doing my own research. And then there are pocket groups here at the time. This was back in 2014, I think, 2013, 2014. There were pocket groups who were pursuing HEMA in their own circles, but nobody formally taught. So, I did my own research. I watched videos. I learned through books, so my own readings as well. And this is where FMA became very instrumental, because through the course that I learned, I was able to more easily understand the concepts and the techniques that were in the books or being shown on videos. So when a HEMA instructor in the US or Canada says, "Oh, step this way," if I can correlate it to what I learned in RDs, then I could do it better. So, ganun yung journey. So that's how I started. That's how I first learned about HEMA. Then from there, I just went into a deep dive. Every chance I get, I watch videos. I share it with students, with my team, etc. And we all learn together. So even though I am the instructor, quote unquote, it's really we all learn together as a team. I'm just taking the lead because out of my team, I'm the more experienced one. But we all share. If somebody learns, "Oh, coach, I saw this," or I watched it, we test it, we try it, and then we test it in sparring. That's also one hobby of mine, spar a lot. And I like it when the techniques work in sparring. So even on my geek side, I play for honor as often as I can. So,
When you spar, do you use actual swords or do you have like kendo sticks? What?
We started out with sticks because one thing that not really prohibited but made it difficult for people to try out HEMA is that the gear is expensive. If you import it in the US or from
The gear.
Yung protection, no? The protective gear. How much would be the basic?
At the time it would be, I don't know, maybe upwards of 15K at least.
Wow.
The entire set, and that doesn't include the sword. So
Malaking
we started out
investment.
we started out with sticks, but eventually the sticks weren't enough. So we used wood to make wooden swords, and then eventually that wasn't enough. But I didn't want students to have a difficult time getting into the sport. So me and a friend of mine started a small company that produces affordable steel sparring swords inspired by American designs. Western designs. So that's when we transitioned to steel, and because we made it accessible for our students and friends and colleagues, we kind of grew the community, and at least our community, and most of my students are using the swords that we have, which allowed us to finally transition to sparring with steel, because it's different and it's more fun. It's a lot more dangerous also, which is why we wear protective gear, which are all locally made also, by the way. But it's fun. No sport naman has no risks. So this one has risks as well. But if you respect one another and do it in the purpose of learning and having fun, then the injuries are kept to a minimum or none at all. I pride myself in having a team. The worst injury that we had were a few broken thumbs.
Aray.
It sounds bad, I know, but considering how intense we fight it's a testament to the discipline that was inculcated by my students. Now we were able to blood comes out sometimes, cuts, bruises. That's all
Yes,
part
it
of it.
happens.
Dugo lang yan.
Mhm.
But as long as you're careful, it's good. All sports naman have that, right? Basketball,
Yes,
you can get
totoo.
Yes,
Of
that's true.
course.
a ligament, So it's all part of the game.
Mhm.
So maybe we can show one video na like what I think we have a few videos prepared by Sir Jericho. Maybe we can show one video, yung siguro yung pinaka basic.
Mhm. Yep. Let's see this.
Yes, sir. So dito natin makikita and it's all on Sir Jericho's YouTube channel, yung The Sword Seeker. Yon.
Mhm. Let's watch this, guys. Very well done. Well done.
Grabe, makikita mo talaga literal mahati. Nakita ko yung the Coke bottle was may hiwa siya eh. Sabi ko, gosh, ang talas niyan.
Yes, and it really takes a lot of practice based from my
Totoo.
experience. It's not that,
Yes.
it's really
Na-try mo na
difficult.
din yun, no? You have also tried that, Josh, di ba?
Yes, and it really takes a lot of practice because sometimes we even use the what we call tatami mats in kenjutsu. So it's really equivalent to at least the bone of the person. So if you can't get through that, that will mean that you're not skilled enough with the sword. So I highly suggest that you also know the angle of the cut. That's one. Number two, you also know how the torque and the power work, because handling a sword is it's not as easy as you would think. And
Yes.
I'm sure that Sir Jericho will agree with me on this one.
I agree. It's
Yes.
Sorry, what's the anong pinaka-basic na weapon for beginners that you normally give to the beginner level?
beginner, we give them a stick.
A stick.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to have people start because you can get a stick anywhere.
Totoo.
My goal is to lower the requirement of entry as much as possible, and I learned that from my teacher in Arnis. You have to make it as accessible so that the person can really, really get into it. And the best way to do it is to start with the stick. I know a lot of students of mine who, if they really wanted to, they could buy an entire set. But of course, being still curious at the time, they didn't want to commit yet. So here, have a stick. It's free. And then from there, start, right? And that's how it starts talaga. Because if you focus on computing kagad how much it will cost, then you haven't started yet. Parang it's very intimidating already, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, but in terms of a specific weapon style, I personally start my students with long swords because it's easier. Plus, to absorb.
Long
It's easier
swords.
to easily absorb. Plus, you use both hands, so if you're not that strong yet, at least you have both hands to use a weapon. And just from a personal standpoint, it just looks cooler. So,
Yes.
Two-handed sword.
Yeah. So we use two-handed swords first, and then from there we explore. My students and I love experimenting. So sometimes, we use sword versus long sword. Even did archery with swords, like some archers versus swords. It's a lot of fun. So as once you get into it, the possibilities are, as limited as your imagination.
Mhm. Yep. So we'll be back for more of Mr. Jericho's advices and at the same time his topic. And we'll be having a short break. Let's have a short break, partner.
Yes, sir. All right. I
Yep.
hope you guys have learned a lot so far sa ating topic for today. Historical European martial arts. Time check natin, it's 8:30. So we will see you in a couple of minutes. Quick lang tayo, restroom break lang. So see you in a few minutes.
We'll be back shortly. Voice of the Boys, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To hold my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock the party and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm a king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To hold my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now we rock the party and come correct. All people on time and rhyme connect.
Now back to Voice of the Boys, only here on V81 Radio, Manila.
Yay. Welcome back, guys. How was your
Alright,
break?
yun. Sana nakapag-break tayo ng maayos, ladies and gentlemen. Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, all over the Philippines, and of course, all over the world. Sana maayos po yung pakikipag-break nyo sa kanya. Ay, mali.
Ganun.
Ganyan naman kayo eh.
Ouch.
Konting away lang, break na eh. Hindi ba pwede makipag-ayos muna? Anyway, wala lang. Pinapasaya ko lang kayo mga ka-Ricktards and mga ka-Slayers natin from our V81 radio watchers. Ito, may comment tayo from, I think this is one of your friends as well. Nagko-comment siya sa ating YouTube.
Wow. Ivan, hello. He's
Hey.
another martial artist, guys. You
Wow.
should check out his other videos as well. I'll give a link next time because apparently he'll be one of our guests in the upcoming episode. So stay tuned.
Ayun naman pala. So, nako, hindi po nagtatapos ang ating fitness journey. May episode 1, episode 2, at may another episode pa po tayo for more fitness topics in our future. So, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, mga ka-Ricktards, mga ka-Slayers, sa ating programang Voice of the Boys every Friday at 8 p.m. only here on V81 Radio Manila. Hey!
Yay!
Alright! So, partner! How is everything? So, ang bilis, no? Sabi nga natin, ang bilis lang ng 30 minutes.
Oo nga eh. Parang dumaan lang eh. Pero I'm sure naman na mas marami pa tayong topics in the near future na kasing detail din na to. And we'll also be able to show you guys some of the other unique features of this martial art. But before that, let's bring in our special guest again, Mr. Jericho Viejo. Welcome back.
Yes, sir!
Hello, sir.
Welcome back to the show.
How was your break?
Have coffee.
Uy.
Requirements.
Ayun,
Okay lang yan.
pampagising, panghimagas. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this is also a very nice topic because actually may isa pa akong question dapat kanina eh. Kaso nga lang hindi
Go
ko
ahead.
na tanong sure. So tatanungin ko na muna. For you, what were the major differences between HEMA and FMA? If you don't mind me asking, because as martial artists,
HEMA and MMA.
FMA,
Alright.
Filipino
FMA.
martial arts.
Sorry.
Mm-mm. Yes. So what do you think would describe the best differences between the two arts as a fighter?
Actually, if I'm going to be very honest, there's more similarities than differences. And it's not related to the martial side. I mean, HEMA, specifically the style that I practice in German longsword, is also very aggressive, simple, direct to the point. So is the Arnis school that I follow. I think the major difference I would say is the cultural aspect of it. HEMA in the West hasn't had the same range yet in terms of popularity in their own cultures that I know of. Okay, don't quote me on that as accurate, but that's my observation.
Yes, that's true.
Whereas in Arnis, here in the Philippines, almost everybody knows what it is and they can relate to it. It's our national sport, martial art. Lots of schools compete in it. It's part of the physical education program of our education system. So that's where I see the major differences are. Another that I would say is the entry. So Arnis is very easy to enter, right? The gear
Yes, that's
is
true.
the gear is easy to access, and pretty much anybody can get into it. It's part of. Oh, am I coming in okay?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Loud and
Yeah.
clear.
So it's easy to get into because it's part of the PE program. So plus there are loads of schools and masters and teachers who can get you started on it. So to me, those are the major differences between the two.
I see. That's good. So far, let's go to our next question. But before that, we'd like to show another video of Mr. Jericho's work, and it really
Yes.
amazes me that he has a lot in his portfolio. So I'm sure that
Sobra.
everyone can relate to this. So let's bring in the next video, guys. Nice. That's a beautiful swing of the sword.
Grabe, pinapanood ko yung ano yung from the footwork to the yung pag-swing ng sword, parang parang ang bigat. Ano yun? That was a two-handed sword, di ba?
Yes, it's what we call a feather sword or a feather sword. But
Feather
basically,
sword.
what it is a blunt training tool. So it's not sharp, but it's made of steel, and you can use it for training and sparring. In the video that you saw, that's one of my pet projects as the sword seeker. No? I love trying out the swordsmanship moves of different characters in video
Ang
games.
galing.
That was the warmonger from For Honor. So I love doing that. It's like my expression of both my nerdy side and the martial arts side. Sword fight.
Nice. And I see the applications as well. It's really beautiful. Beautiful execution. So let's go for the next question we have right now. How has HEMA as a martial art and as a sport taught you better ways to live your life as a person and as a professional?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. for me, it's really more being open to interpretations. Um, because in HEMA, as I said, it's like a very recent research. No, it's a research. It was an art that was revived after losing um, the lineage for many years, centuries.
That's
So
true.
the way HEMA instructors work, or the HEMA scholars, as they say, when they find something and they say, "Oh, this is our interpretation of the movement that was written in the books." Because one of the problems is that the books show the starting position and then the ending position, but using the old European language, it's hard to interpret exactly what they're trying to say in between. So like, how do you move from point A to point B? So that's why instructors say, this is our interpretation, this is our interpretation. So for me, that's my biggest takeaway as a professional. It's like just being open to the opinions of others. Because
Totoo.
like for example, if
That's true.
the movement feels okay to me, like I can do it personally, but there's somebody else who has a different interpretation of it, I'm not gonna shut my head down and say no. My interpretation is correct. Yours is wrong. It's not that. It made me more open to testing. Um, Made me open to the opinions of others, to listen and see what they have to say. And then if there's a takeaway that I can use in my life, I'll do it. So it's kind of like a thing, right? You know, you take something that's useful to you, you add it to your own, and then if something is not, then you discard it, and then then it's not for you. So basically, that's the biggest takeaway for me in terms of personal something.
All right. That's cool.
Ayos. And
At
totoo yan,
least,
sir, kasi true knowledge comes from willing to learn from others and willing to admit that you don't know enough, di ba?
Agreed.
Yeah, basically, and especially here because as long as I have been practicing, I'm still a newcomer compared to a lot of the more expert practitioners out there, particularly in the West. So, you can't have an ego and say, no, this is correct, this is the only way to do things. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly. So it's more, you have to communicate with others in your field and see what they have to say and practice together and learn. And most importantly, test it. Because sometimes you can get a lot of interpretations, but if you don't test it, if you don't spar with it or use a real sword to try and cut targets with it, then it's all concepts.
Totoo. Kailangan
Well,
may application talaga.
Yeah.
There's a question sa comment pala from Kit Malabanan.
Oh yeah.
So,
Circuit.
Yes, so it's on Facebook. How long does it take to get from a beginner handling sticks to being able to cut with a sharp sword?
Wow, okay, that's a very good question.
That's a
And
good question.
Mm-mm.
siguro the best way to answer this is, how badly do you want to learn?
Yon.
If you practice regularly, and when I say regularly, hindi yung you rush it 24 hours straight with no sleep. No, I mean regularly, properly, you train, you get proper nutrition, you get proper sleep, you're able to do the other things related to your life. Depending on how often you can train, I would say from stick to cutting with the sharp sword, basic cutting, maybe a few months, maybe 4 or 5 months. That won't make you expert by any means, but the most important thing kasi is that you respect that the sharp sword is still a weapon.
Yes.
Agreed.
One of the reasons why we start off with sticks, not is for safety, right? But even if it's a stick, especially when I teach kids, and some of my kids students can cut better than adults.
Wow.
Out to Sabi, I miss you guys. Iko. Basically, we teach them, even though it's a stick, that to treat it like a sword. So they're not allowed to flail it around in the gym. They're not allowed to point it at random people and students. They hold it properly. They treat it like a real weapon, so that by the time you hand them a real weapon, then they learn how to respect it. So going back to the question, the time frame is how soon can you respect your art as an actual martial art? Because if you don't, you can end up hurting not just yourself but other people. But in terms of practical timeline, yeah, a few months. If you train properly, basic angle cut one, and from the left and the right, descending strikes should be enough. And then to do what I'm doing,
Years.
practice a lot.
Yeah, it really takes years.
Yeah. By the way, the twirling swords thing when I was cutting, that's more Witcher than HEMA. Don't say that that's HEMA. I mean, I use HEMA principles to learn how to do it, but that's my interpretation of Witcher, For Honor, other video games. And so don't try that at home if you have no training.
Yes.
Yourself. So there. I hope that answers the question.
Yep.
Sir.
And it's a very beautiful question. We have another question though. How could HEMA do to bring the best in people as a person and as a fighter? What do you think could help bring out the best principles of HEMA in a person and as a fighter?
Oh, all right. That's a very good question, actually. In my opinion, aside from you have to be open-minded and be very open to the interpretations of others, is HEMA will. I'll speak from a nerd, a former 238-pound obese nerd.
Wow.
Into martial arts.
I think you have may picture kayo nun, sir, no?
Yes.
Yes, maybe we can show that now, yeah.
Yes.
So this photo was from 2010, I think, and it was one of my wake-up calls at the time. So I share this photo to people because a lot of people think that to get into this sport or martial art, that you have to be fit. No, you don't have to wait for
There.
Wow.
So what a
That's a really
big difference.
unflattering angle, but I'm willing to show that so that people can see that if you pursue your craft or your passion in martial arts, you're going to have to be fit. It's going to force you in a good way to get into fitness, because the more fit you are, the more fun you'll have in practicing. Because if you want to get into HEMA, but you have you're overweight or you have some injuries that stem from being unhealthy, your practice time will be limited. There will be moves that you'll be limited, and you're not gonna be able to do certain things. So for me, the biggest benefit is to getting into the physical side of it. Because swordsmanship, even though it's physical, it's actually very emotional then. And if you cannot feel like you're having fun with it because of your physical limitations, then that's going to hinder your practice. In a way, it's also psychological, right? It's strange.
That's true.
You can think of it na, I love practicing, I like doing this, but then you'll feel bad because, why is my teacher able to do this and I can't? So two things can happen. One is you can lose hope and stop, which I hope doesn't happen. And the second one is what happened to me, which is it encouraged me and inspired me to get healthier. So to get it.
Ang galing.
It's really
So
inspiring.
how many pounds did you lose, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 238, 239 at the time in that photo. That was 10 years ago. And when I woke up being unable to breathe, in a month, I moved into it and lost 30 pounds in a month.
30
But
pounds.
that's not
1
healthy.
month.
I don't recommend people do what I did because I suffered
Yes.
some minor injuries in that pursuit. But as with my practice with HEMA, I started reading up on how to do things more properly, take care of your
Yes.
body. And, from there, I was able to go back into Muay Thai again. I was able to pursue Krav Maga, archery. So for me, that's the biggest benefit. If you are able to, if your interest grows in HEMA, the biggest benefit you'll get is that you'll be forced to be healthier because you'll have more fun.
Totoo.
Yes,
And
that's true.
That's also my passion project. One of the reasons why I'm not ashamed of sharing that photo is because if somebody, even one person gets inspired and says, oh, coach was able to do it pala, I was 238 as well. And then they train, that's good. It means I did my job. And we have a lot of students who are like that. Actually, right now, during the pandemic, even though we didn't have a physical location to train, a lot of my students trained with me online. And some of them have become as they've been in their life. And that's not just because of me. All I did was give them the program. It's more because it awoke their passion to pursue either weightlifting or HEMA, because they're nerds who want to really get into the things that they like doing. So that to me is the benefit, the biggest benefit.
That's good.
Grabe. And grabe, 30 pounds in just 1 month. And
Yeah, but I did that running 7 kilometers a day.
whew,
Whoa,
every day.
7 kilometers. Wow.
Yeah. It's not a good thing to do, I admit, and I will never recommend that to somebody else. But that experience made me realize I need to learn how to do things better. So that's when I talked to different coaches, started learning my path to getting more knowledge on fitness programs and all those things. So don't get me wrong, that was 10 years ago when I didn't know any better, 11 years ago. And since then, I've learned a lot. And it was a life-changing thing. I will, as cheesy and as cliche as that sounds, it really did change my life. So
Amen.
from that point on, my focus became this and became trying to help other people like me, not necessarily get fit, but more like encourage them to take that start. Na, okay, fine, right now it's kind of hard for you to do because you're not as strong, your endurance isn't that high, but trust me, I came from that and I know how you feel.
Tama.
So
Everyone started small talaga.
yeah, and the reason why I use, sorry, I'm talking a lot. This is a topic that's very close.
Go. Of
It's
course.
okay, no problem.
Sige lang, sir.
We welcome it.
The reason I encourage people to tap into their nerdy pursuits is because that's something that won't be gone, right? Like for example, somebody who's passionate about Star Wars. They get fat, they get thin, they get unhealthy, they get old. It's still there. It doesn't vanish. So if that's one of your foundations to getting fit, then you're good. Good stuff, right? You fall off the horse
That's true.
a couple of weeks or a couple of days. If you say, no, I still want to move like Anakin in episode 3, minus Anakin.
Yeah, I remember.
Then you can go back into it because your heart is there. So if your motivation is something that is part of your lifestyle, part of your passion, it's very hard to break because that's my experience as well. Every single time I feel like I'm being lazy, tinatamad ako mag-workout, I don't want to train, works killer, ganyan. I just remember, no, I want to move like how I did in For Honor. I want to, swing a big ass sword around, diba? So whenever I feel that way, the motivation gets recharged. And
Indeed.
same for my students. So that's why for anybody who's listening who wants to get into it, don't be shy about your fandom. Use it as your app. And then yun yung gawin nyo. That's what you use to get into it. Because you're doing the hard work for yourself anyway. Nobody else will benefit from your working out but you. So you're only you will get healthier, only you will be able to move better. So use it.
Yep. And those are very inspiring words. Thank you for sharing them. Because this means a lot. This is also a message
do whatever
for...
works for you. You don't force yourself into one na hindi mo naman talaga trip.
Yes,
do
exactly.
whatever works for you. Ako nga, like for example, who would have thought I would do yoga? Pero who would have thought that there's actually yoga that does may nagpapatugtog ng heavy metal, no? 'Di ba? Yung mga ganon. Yes, DDP yoga.
DDP
yes,
yoga.
every day,
Yes.
almost every day. So, laki din ng pinayat ko doon. Like, from 67 kilos, naging, from 67 ranging to 58 to 60 kilos. Ganun siya ka-effective. Plus, yung flexibility and strength. But yun, just an example, di ba? So, do whatever works for you. Yung araw-arawin mo talaga.
Agreed. So far, go on ahead, Richard.
I think we only have last two questions, no, Sir Josh, before we wrap up.
Yeah.
So,
so
the
far,
ninth question?
The ninth question is, what lessons and values would you like to share to our viewers and people who would wish to pursue HEMA as a martial art? What do you think?
Wow. Ganda ng questions, ha? Basically, for me, I'll only speak from my own experience. No? And again, I know it's like a broken record already, but it goes back to living your fandom. Because you talk about HEMA, let's say it's a practical martial art for self-defense. Yes, there are carryovers, but you won't be carrying a sword every day. So it's kind of like it's a limited lesson and value to hold on to, right? But if you pursue HEMA as a way of expression, similar to cosplaying, diba?
Yes, that's true.
If you pursue HEMA as an expression of your passion, similar to other arts like cosplay or music, then it's something that will give you enjoyment, personal satisfaction, and personal fulfillment. Because if, let's say, I'll speak from experience as a gamer, sooner or later, I felt like it's not enough that I was just watching my character swing a sword. So there was an itch to learn and move and try to do it for myself. And HEMA was my outlet. FMA and HEMA are my outlets currently. So from there, I learned that it's okay. It's okay to pursue such a nerdy aspect if it's something that will give you personal fulfillment. Diba? Like,
yes.
we're going to say, a common question you'll find online is, how is that a martial art? You don't bring a sword every day, or I'll just shoot you.
I get that discrimination a lot.
But if you can learn to block that out and just focus on, no, I'm pursuing this for my own personal fulfillment, then you'll be a much happier person. I know a lot of people who wanted to do this, but they were scared to try. They were scared to get started for whatever reason, like they're not fit or pagtatawanan sila or they look bad on camera. And
Totoo.
to
Yeah.
me,
Happens.
yeah, just do it. Just go for it. If it's for because there's no what's the worst thing can happen? The worst thing that can happen is you're bad at it. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
true.
Totoo.
and if you're bad at it, then there's no other direction but going up, and you'll get better at it sooner or later. So
Amen.
yeah, that's my answer.
Awesome. That's cool. And in relation to that, we'll go to the last question. And I'm sure everybody's gonna be very curious of how this question is because where could our kind viewers reach your awesome lessons? Because
Yes.
everybody has been trying to get into this industry, but the problem is they have limited places to go to. So
Tsaka hindi
I'd
pa
like to leave this
kilala.
to you. Yes. Mhm.
Oo.
All right. So right now, unfortunately, it's very difficult to do actual physical lessons, no? Just
Mhm.
because of the where we're trying to adhere to the government mandate of physical
Oo,
distancing and
totoo.
all that stuff.
Yes.
However, you can contact my page on Facebook, Sword Seeker, or you can go to any of the Forge Martial Fitness Facebook pages, um, both the HQ1 and our branch in Pioneer. We have different teams who are deployed.
Pioneer.
We do online coaching as well. Just shoot us a message there. Um, and then, if you really want to get into it, shout out to the team of HEMA Philippines. I can't divulge any specific details just yet, but I want to give a teaser to people that an event is coming. Yeah, so there's an event coming very soon where if you haven't tried HEMA before, you can go to this event and get to meet different coaches, different students, different suppliers of equipment, gear, etc. Um, we will be announcing it very soon. We're still in the process of fixing up everything, the logistics of it and whatnot. But definitely, there's going to be an event where people can try it out in a safe environment. But in terms of lessons and coaching or trying it out, I will encourage go online. You can ask me sa Sword Seeker page or go for any lessons online. And again, if you have a stick or a small heavy implement for those who are those who have limited space, my page I gave a tip on how to make a sword trainer using a small sledgehammer so that you can do swings even in a small condo. You can check that out. And yeah, just go online. A lot of this is available online. You can ask me, you can ask the Forge team, and yeah, just get started. So easy to start. And then from there, let's just all
Yun, no?
communicate. If you
There
have
it
questions,
is. Yan. The Sword Seeker.
Mhm.
And they have various videos din, oh. So we have various videos showing your
yeah.
mga skills and
So
pictures.
we have a
And
new video coming out very soon. There you
ayun.
saw Miss Victoria Cannon and Mr. Mike Atienza.
Wow.
I can't do their Chinese martial arts moves, so for the Wulin faction of For Honor, I got them in as my guests. So in-edit ko na, it's just have a lot of stuff going on with work and all that, but Mike, Victoria, promise, lalabas na yung video natin. So there.
Yay.
Ayun. Ladies and
Can't wait for
gentlemen,
that.
please follow the Sword Seeker on Facebook and his YouTube channel. Grabe, to all aspiring sword wielders out there, is that the correct term? Or
Yes, sword wielders or
practitioners?
swordsmen.
Swordsmen and women. So, ayun. And this is also for you to get fit. Napakalaking bagay din nun because you can't hold the sword properly without proper fitness and training din, di ba? So, so ayun, the Sword Seeker on Facebook and YouTube.
All right. That's a wrap.
Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation with Sir Jericho Viejo, the Sword Seeker for tonight. Sir Jericho, maraming salamat. It's an
Yeah,
honor to have you here, sir.
It was thank you for having me. I had fun. I hope I got to share or maybe
Yes. Oh, grabe.
hopefully we can inspire, no? And again, if you have any questions, just communicate with me online and I'll be more than happy to.
Yes. The Sword Seeker.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other things to, like any other pages you want to promote or mga shout out? Any special shout out?
Oh yeah, so shout out to the Forge Martial Fitness team. Those who are wondering when we're going to resume operations, yeah, we can't say just yet. But definitely once everything goes back to normal, that we can all operate in, and, that's something as well. And we also produce our own shields.
Wow.
You know,
Yes.
Uy, I like those.
yeah. So we're going to resume operations for our Armas de Acero group very soon. Now that the restrictions are slowly being lifted. And we will we're coming out with a brand new model that I cannot share just yet.
Yeah,
But
teaser.
something that a lot of people who are interested in swordsmanship will find very interesting. And again, also shout out to the team of PH. At the moment, actually, they're having a Zoom meeting, planning what could very well be a very good HEMA event for everybody here in the Philippines. I can't say anything just yet, but once I'm ready to share stuff, you guys will be the first to know.
Once everything is over, once the pandemic is over, nako, lahat tayo, we're all excited to go back to normal, to enjoy going out again and have some sparring sessions. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Sword Seeker, Sir Jericho Viejo. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
You guys,
And
Thank
we
you for
hope
having
to
me.
sana magkaroon tayo ng sequel, we never know. Maybe we can discuss another pag nagkabalikan ang lahat, you can promote more the Forge Fitness and your brand once again, no? Looking forward to that.
And of course, we will also have another episode with regards to the other fandoms out there. We'll focus on the Star Wars fandom and
magkakaroon
be
tayo
also
yan, yes.
promoting the Philippine Lightsaber Guild soon. So
Yun. So,
stay
abangan
tuned.
nyo yan. Mga Charactards and Slayers, Philippine Lightsaber Guild for all Star Wars fans out there. So, I think dito na po nagtatapos ang ating show. Pero bago ang lahat, Josh, do you wanna promote anything? Any shout-out? Special shout-out?
Yes, special
Sa mga
shout out
Slayer?
to HEMA Philippines and to my friends in the Philippine Lightsaber Guild. Hope to see you all soon. And of course, to my kind viewers out there, my kind supporters from all walks of life. And also, thank you also for tuning in with Voice of the Boys. And I guess that's a wrap, guys.
Yes, sir. And maraming salamat sa ating mga viewers for tonight. And to those who are viewing, I have mag-quick promotion lang ako. First of all, I want to promote the Certified Voice Artist Program on my upper right here. To all aspiring voiceover artists out there, tulad namin ni Sir Joshua. So tomorrow will be the start, March 6. It will be the 6th batch. For only 5,000 pesos, you can start the fundamentals of becoming a voice artist, and it will be taught by, of course, ang none other than the voice master of the Philippines, si Sir Pocholo de Leon Gonzalez. All right. So, Certified Voice Artist Program, search that on Facebook and on the website as well of Creative Voices Productions. Yun. And of course, I want to promote my friend's shirt brand called Sure. Ayan po. So, magkakaroon na po sila ng Season 2 by the one and only art director and producer. And ang susunod na magbo-birthday na po dyan, si Monsi. So, for more information, meron sila sa Lazada. Follow their Facebook page, Sure. So, yun. Ano lang siya, very, very unique apparel, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, last but not the least, ang aming guest from last week, i-promote na rin natin ang martial arts yoga ni Miss Darcel because she's also selling shirts and masks, and as well as she's having sessions as well. If you're interested to have sessions to learn more about martial arts yoga of Darcel Diaz, do visit BMA Westgate in Alabang for more information, and she's happy to teach you. She's happy to take in more students. So, ayun! Alright, that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in Voice of the Boys with Sir Jericho Viejo, the Sword Seeker. And I am the co-host for tonight, THERICKMATTHEWS, Richard Ravelas, and of course, last but not the least,
I am Voice D Slayer, and thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week with more awesome content. And thank
yes,
you
abangan
guys.
nyo next week. Next week,
we'll be
ang topic natin for today is going to be dedicated for all the titos out there. So abangan nyo po for more information. Just a teaser, stay tuned. So to all titos out there, mga kaidara natin, mga feeling young at heart. So ayun. Ladies and gentlemen, Voice of the Boys, we will see you next week. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Bringing you the best reviews and mail topics. Only here on Voice of the Boys. Stay tuned for the next episode of your weekly Friday habit. This is Voice of the Boys. Only here on V81 Radio, Manila. Tunog Pinoy, Tatak Pinoy, your all hits, all Pinoy digital radio station in South Manila. This is V81 Radio.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Ito ang radio mo, ito ang radio ko. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Dahil mahal namin kayo. V81 Radio, V81 Radio. Para sa inyo ito, V81 Radio.